Worldview 2, a Brannon House television network.
The Tamara Scott Show. Tamara has served as the state director for one of America's largest pro-life, pro-family public policy organizations. In 2007, Tamara was named one of America's top 10 most influential kingmakers by the Religion News Association. Tamara has spent years proclaiming and defending the values of a Christian worldview that is the foundation of our constitutional republic. And now, here is your host, Tamara Scott.
Hey everybody, welcome. I am Tamara Scott. This is the Tamara Scott Show, where we help you live God's Word in today's world. Why? Because if He expects you to live through it, He's directed you how to do it somewhere in His Word. And so we tell you, don't get caught up in the headlines. Yes, we talk about them. We want you to be aware of them. We want you to know how to pray for your family, how to strategize and provide for whatever may be coming, just as you do when the weather reports are coming. We want you to be safe. We want you to be prepared. But we don't want you to be paranoid. We don't want you to be fearful, because then you're vulnerable, you're malleable, and you get distracted from the plan that God has for you. He has a plan for you. Stay in that plan. Stay in that pathway, and don't let the barking dogs, as Louis L'Amour used to talk about in those Western books. Don't let the barking dogs throw your covered wagon off the track. You stay focused where God has you going. All right, joining me today, I'm so excited. We're going to hop right to it. Senator Lynn Evans, and he is in the Iowa Senate, represents District 3. They just, I think it's sine die is how they say it, just closed down over the weekend. And so we're thrilled. One, I always feel safer when they're out of session. I got to tell you, even though I have friends there, I feel safer when they're out of session. But two, I'm happy for them. They can go on doing the commute and all of that they've been good. These are servants who serve at their heart. Right at their heart, away from their family, away from the jobs that they have, away from the other things they could be doing. So, Senator Evans, thank you for joining me on the Tamara Scott Show.
I appreciate the invitation. Thank you.
I'm first going to tell you, I was talking to somebody yesterday, and here's what they said. It was a colleague. They said, I am just so blessed. I am so thankful that I can serve alongside men. And you were one he mentioned, along with Senator Alon's. And he said, to think that we have a superintendent, a former superintendent in the Iowa schools that is solid, conservative, and just such a strong leader. So it makes me tear up when I think about it, but I just thought you should hear it.
Thank you. That is nice to hear.
You all hear plenty of other things, I'm sure, during this session. So it's nice to hear something positive once in a while.
Yes.
All right. So you're out of session, big accomplishments, things you hoped to get accomplished but didn't. Take us through it. First, probably we should start with eminent domain, 5-year battle for these landowners.
Yeah, we didn't get that across. That's been a long battle. We've tried a number of different angles to get that moving. We've tried what most would call the legislative process, where we introduce bills and hope they get a subcommittee and make it through the process to the floor. That proved to be unfruitful for 4 years. Last year, we took more extreme measures, and 12 of us banded together, and we blocked the budget until a bill moved to the floor. We had a bill that made it through subcommittee and committee, and until that got to the floor for a vote, we weren't going to approve the final budget. It passed in the Senate with bipartisan support, made it to the governor's desk, and then was vetoed by the governor, which was disappointing, but truly not unexpected, Tamara.
But still astounding. Still astounding. One Republican governor. This is a biblical concept that the prince cannot take away the inheritance of the people. It's a constitutional concept with an eminent domain, protecting our property rights. It's a platform issue for Republicans. But as you say, 80% of Iowans across the board support this. So
it's truly not a partisan issue.
Yeah, not surprising.
The latest accurate poll shows that 78% of Iowans believe that eminent domain should not be used not only for this project, but any economic development purpose.
I agree.
And it's going to show up in the primaries. every candidate so far, governor candidate and on down the ballot, gets asked this issue when they're on the stump or at the coffee shop or in front of people. And not only is it going to affect primary outcomes, it could affect the general elections all the way down the ballot from governor's office down. Because quite frankly, people are fed up with elected officials that go in, put their hand on the Bible, take an oath of office to defend the Constitution, and then treat it as ceremonial.
Yeah.
They're waking up, Tamara. People are starting to wake up.
Oh, they're waking up angry. They're not waking up pleasant. Yes. They're waking up angry.
Yes.
And this is going to be an issue. And as an RNC member or a leader in our RNC said to me several election cycles ago, if incumbents are concerned about getting reelected, they need to make sure that they are accomplishing the tasks that their constituents have sent them to do.
Absolutely. If we're doing the work that people sent us to do, we shouldn't be too concerned about whether we're going to get reelected or not.
Right.
And the other piece is, should we even really be concerned about whether we get reelected or not? We're sent to do a job. We go down and do the job to the best of our ability. And if we stay in office, we stay in office. If we don't, we don't. But it shouldn't be the end goal to remain in office for multiple sessions.
Right.
We should be focused on the work for the people of Iowa.
And for many of you, that is the case. We are so thrilled to have you, which is why we talked about the Dauntless Dozen last year. And so we got to the governor's veto. So then this year, I know some of you tried so hard again.
This year, we took a different approach again, using the same tactic to block a bunch of legislation in the Senate. We could have taken that stance, but with new leadership and some changes in those positions, we were assured that we would be invited to the table, be able to negotiate some amendments to the bill that was handed to us from the House. We got a good, simple bill from the House, pretty much modeled after South Dakota's language, almost verbatim, that was passed a couple years ago. In subcommittee and then in committee, it was amended, strike-through amendment, whole new language put in, which allowed for some use of eminent domain, which we're opposed to, obviously. Senator Lawns worked with a few of us and LSA, the Legislative Services agency that helps us draft bills, talked to a few attorneys, came up with what we thought was a reasonable amendment. We went to Senator Klemesh, the majority leader. We showed him our amendment that 9 others had signed on to, so 10 had signed on to it. He did take a look at it. We had some good, fruitful discussions. Based on those discussions, we actually made some tweaks to that amendment, but ours was no use of eminent domain. And that ended up being the sticking point. Neither could gain the support to get to the floor. That was a true statement, but how about we just put it to the floor anyway and let our legislators decide?
So the people can see.
That's exactly right. So the people can see. Transparency. We weren't able to accomplish that. So the message that's sent back to us, or at least that we leave the Capitol with, is that you have to take more extreme measures if you're going to move the legislation. It's unfortunate. I don't think the majority of Iowans want to see us govern in that manner. But if that's what it requires to move good legislation that 80% of Iowans are in support of, then maybe we have to consider that moving forward. I'd rather not, but maybe that's what we have to continue to do.
And so next session will be a new body because we'll have an election in November. We don't know exactly what the complexion of the Senate will look like at that point. We've got several frustrated Republicans out there who say, first they told us we had to have majority. We got majority. Then they told us we had to have a larger majority to give cushion for those who might not be with us on some issues. So we had a trifecta, a super trifecta until earlier this year, the death of a senator, and we lost a special election. We still couldn't get it last year. We couldn't get it this year with a trifecta, maybe not a supermajority in the Senate, but certainly a good group in the House and the governor's office. We still didn't get it done. You now have voters in the state who are so frustrated. Why do I bother to get Republicans elected if they're not going to adhere to the Constitution, to the platform, to the constituents in our best interest? That's the frustration that we're going to have to overcome for midterms now, primaries and general. And so to those of you, the Dauntless Dozen, to those of you who are standing strong, thank you. I hope that you are okay. And we should tell people, some of you have primaries that others put folks up against you. I don't know if it's the pipeline people. I don't know if it's who they call establishment, whoever that may be. I don't know who it is. But some now have primaries, and we also have good people in primaries challenging those who have been a roadblock or an obstacle to the people's protection of their land. So you voters are going to have to be informed. You're going to have to do your homework. I've been saying this to people on the gubernatorial as well, not to take the flash, but to find those who have the foundations rooted in our biblical Judeo-Christian foundations as a nation and in our Constitution and in our platform. And I continue to say that. All right, Senator, we have just a minute before we go to break. Anything else before we go to break on this topic or another topic?
Well, I just want to let people know that we're back up to 12. We've gained a few that swung over to our side on this issue.
I didn't know
who
that.
actually voted with us last year. Yeah. You know, when you look back to the floor, Rocky DeWitt,
Yes.
Senator DeWitt was pretty ill at the time of the vote. But we did gain a couple that voted in our favor, and they're still with us. So on this issue,
At least during election year.
well, I think truly in their hearts they're with us
Good.
because they know this is a constitutional issue. It's
Good.
not necessarily about just this one project, CO2 pipeline.
So good.
This, if we allow this to continue, is problematic moving forward for all Iowans.
Absolutely, it is. Not just people in the rural country areas, but this will impact everyone who owns land, no matter where you are in Iowa.
Yep, it's a nose under the tent, camel's nose under the tent issue.
Absolutely, it is. And government seldom ever backs himself away once they've gained a little territory and turf. So hats off to the people in red shirts, the property folks, Free Soil Foundation folks, whoever they are that have come to your capital for 5 years. And I think they've been fairly orderly and respectful for the frustration that many of them have felt. I got a text or Facebook post that another one had a heart attack this year, and some of them are saying they think it's the stress. I mean, Senator, we talked early on about the manner in which the pipeline companies were coming to people, threatening them, sending letters to them. Elderly folks being threatened off their own farmland with big lawsuits or legal expenses just defending their own rights. This is a lot of pressure on people that Iowans simply shouldn't have to take. And frankly, this comes to mind as gubernatorial candidates are talking about how to keep people in Iowa. Make it easy for them to stay and quit trying to take their land right out from under them when they've been here for 3 and 4 generations and have a century farm. Protect and respect the farmland and the farm operations that we have here. That would be my comment. Anything before we go to break?
Nope.
All right.
I just enjoyed being here. Thank you, Tamara.
Thank you. We'll be right back. Senator Lynn Evans, Iowa 3rd District, right back after these messages.
I need to tell you about our Bella Grace. The slender little sachet has the elixir with the collagen, astaxanthin, and cat's claw. In 2022, got an award for helping with cognitive function, and in 2023, in the sports arena for active ingredients, nutrition, and format. But the best is what we hear from so many of you. You have noticed better joint health, improved mobility, less eye strain and fatigue, helping with computer vision syndrome, visual acuity, depth perception, alleviating dry eyes, but also helping with your immunity, your stress management, endurance, less fatigue overall, not just eye fatigue, muscle recovery, mental clarity, focus, and gut health. Then there's the fun list. The firmer, smoother skin texture, fewer fine lines and wrinkles, improved skin elasticity, decreased age spots, more even skin tone, improved skin hydration, reduced oxidative stress, healthier nails, less cellulite, hair health, better sleep. Who wouldn't want any of those? Call them beauty in items if you wish, but who doesn't want to feel a little bit better or more confident when you're going to present in the public square, when you're going to speak at a city council? And who just doesn't want to feel a little healthier? Maybe they're just byproducts of being healthier. More information at tamara.bellagraceglobal.com.
It's never just meeting the people. It's making us.
tamara.bellagraceglobal.com.
Here we go. All right, everybody, I'm back having a great conversation with the senator while we're on break. And you should know he's sitting in his car because he's headed somewhere special. After being in a closing session of 36 hours in the Senate, just getting back home, Sunday, you're headed back down here. Tuesday, where are you going, Senator?
Going to be in Des Moines for an event. I had RSVP'd a few weeks ago, but not anticipating a 34-hour marathon session to close out the year. And somebody's got to explain to me how that's good government.
I know.
It's not.
I know.
We can go into that at some other time, but so the plan was to start working on my campaign. I'm up for election this year for a couple days, put my feet up, recuperate. But received a phone call last night from their team asking if I was going to be there. I'm assuming they want to do a photo line or some shout outs, those type of things. So it's an honor to be invited. I am going to make the trip back down, but I've pulled off the road. I'm not driving, so it's safe.
Thank you. Thank you for taking time out, planning in your trip to take time out to talk to us. Okay, and I will be there. I got the phone call as well. I wasn't sure if I was going to make it. There's just so many people who want to be there, and I wasn't sure, but I got the phone call. So yes, I will see you there. All right, let's talk about other things you got accomplished and some things you didn't.
Well, I'd like to start with the property tax reform, if I could.
Okay. Take us
I
through
think
it.
that's a big deal. Yeah. So, if the financial runs are going to be correct, and oftentimes they are fairly accurate, we're looking at a total over the next 6 years of $4 billion in property tax saved by homeowners across the state of Iowa. That's significant. This was not just tweaking up our current property tax structure in the state of Iowa, but it was a complete rewrite. We're getting rid of, your listeners may not understand this, but it's House File 718, which we passed a couple years ago. We were getting to a cliff for cities and county governments on that. It was going to start getting really harmful to their budgets. We had to get that out of running in the background. We did. And we're taking into account that not all communities, not all counties are the same. There has to be a little flexibility in that cap. It cannot be a hard cap, no matter what you set it on. In the business world, they call that price fixing. Price fixing only works for a certain length of time. So hard caps aren't going to work in especially property taxes. So what ours does is takes into account that consumer price index, inflation is going to change over time, and that small communities, lower population counties are going to be impacted differently than a central Iowa, eastern Iowa, where there's larger population base. And you have a different mix of property tax revenue that you can draw from in some areas that you can't draw from in other areas. And so this all takes that into account. I think it's going to be great moving forward. Anytime you have an 83 or 84 page bill that comes out with multiple sections, you're going to find when you get feedback over the interim that we're going to have to come back and make some tweaks. We understand that and willing to do it. But I think where we fell on this, huge win. I give a lot of credit to Senator Dan Dawson. He has been working on this, he himself, for at least 4 years now. It's really consumed a large portion of his work. I also give credit to the House members who've worked on this the last few years. The governor's office showing that she and her staff are flexible. It's not really what they had rolled out, really not even too terribly close to what they rolled out, but this is going to be a very good product for Iowa. So that, I think, is a huge win. The mail order abortion pills.
Yeah.
I don't know if you followed that
A
or
little
not.
bit. Yeah. A little bit. Talk to us
You
about
know,
it.
in my mind, it doesn't go far enough, but we can't let great stand in the way of good sometimes. You know, when you're looking at legislation, you have to capture the great things that are in it and hold your nose on some things that maybe you really don't like. But right now, and it's actually in violation of federal law, but you can go online and order these death pills, because that's what they are. They're killing unborn life. Have them delivered to you in the mail. You don't have to even have a consultation with a doctor. Nothing online. You order them. They're delivered to your home. Think about human trafficking.
Right.
Human traffickers are using this product so they can keep their revenue generators, the kids and the women and people they're trafficking for sex or whatever, sex in this case. They use these mail-in abortion pills. Pimps. I mean, I don't like to use these kind of terms, but it's the truth,
Yeah.
Tamara.
But if you have a victim of incest and there arises a pregnancy, it does not stop the perpetrator of that incest, a parent, a grandparent, whoever it may be.
Abusive males coercing these onto women so that they don't give birth to a child that the male doesn't want necessarily. It's not just all on the women,
right,
Tamara.
Right.
This bill actually, I believe, protects women as well as unborn life.
Because we did
I
have
think
a
we
case.
need.
Didn't we have a case
Yeah.
with Louisiana where a boyfriend had put the pill in something and the woman suffered an abortion that she didn't want to have?
Yeah, she wasn't even aware that he had slipped this to
Yeah.
her. And
Yeah.
if I remember in the case, she also had some medical complications as a result.
Often, many often do.
Yeah. One out of 10 have severe medical reactions as a result that could be life-threatening of taking these death pills. So that was a good piece of legislation. Like I said, I don't think it went far enough. I think we need to start treating unborn life just like we do those who are born and walking among us. Why should location determine whether it's a human life that has the same rights and values as everyone else?
Right.
We need to really change our thinking on that.
We do. And I know we've talked about penalties for women seeking abortions, and I never understood why we punish a doctor, but not the one seeking the abortion, except, like you and I are talking, many women are forced, many are trafficked and have no control. They're being trafficked by someone else and forced, a young girl being forced by a family member, and just the general culture. We can't have treated it so coldly and so as some right, and then now punish someone for doing what generations have thought were right. Until we get the culture changed, the education, and change the culture, which is our call as a church, our call as Christians, our call as parents, educators, we've got to work on that, because we can't expect you legislators to take the heat and do what is right if we're not going to stand with you in that.
Yeah. So it's a changing the mindset of the culture.
Yeah,
I think we can get there. We just have to keep chipping away.
And we've chipped away more than we thought with the Dobbs v. Jackson. Many of us didn't see that coming when it finally came. This is why we continue to work. To everybody in the audience, this is why you continue to work. You continue to give to the causes you support, continue to talk, and do what you can in prayer for those who on the front lines, like Senator Evans. All right, go ahead.
Passed a bill that set our budget for the year moving forward. It's only a 1.45% increase, if my math is correct. So really trying to keep a thumb on spending, holding the line. We're trying to be examples to counties and cities and other governments that, hey, you can provide expected and essential needed services for Iowa and hold the line on spending. So I think that's, as far as being a fiscal conservative, that's a good move moving forward for us. I don't know if anybody's followed the issue with the warrant clinics that were being put on, especially in Polk County.
No, I don't know that I
Okay,
know.
so the county attorney, and I may get this completely wrong, and I don't intend to, but the county attorney held a warrant resolution clinic. So if you had a warrant out for your arrest, and we're talking, these were not supposed to be your high level warrants. These are just people who have maybe warrants for some lower level crime. They can come forward, they can turn themselves in at the warrant clinic without being having to take the picture in the orange jumpsuit and not face the embarrassment of all that goes along with that. Turn themselves in, and then the court dates eventually would be set for them. So there was a gal that turned herself into the warrant clinic, had a long string of warrants. She was let off, turned back over to the streets, which is what happens in these situations. And very shortly after, committed a very heinous murder as a result.
I did hear about this. Yeah.
So we just recently passed, towards the end of the session, a bill that made warrant resolution clinics, they're outlawed, that you can't hold them anymore. I mean, it's a tough on crime thing, but it's also a public safety issue. You have a warrant out for your arrest, you've probably done something that needs to be addressed in the court systems in a timely manner. Not just let off, we'll set a court date, turn them back loose on the streets. That's not the way our court system should work. So I was pretty proud to help get that across the line. The vape and nicotine pouch tax, anytime you hear adding a tax as a Republican, you cringe, because that's not typically what we do. But one, any incentive that we can place to get people off of vaping. We know vaping is very harmful physically for our lungs. There's plenty of reports out there that show that. They've been largely untaxed, and they target a youthful audience. I mean, let's just be honest with that. That's who their target is. So they're trying to get people involved earlier. We put a small tax on those. I don't think it's enough to actually deter people, but we'll go with what we can help get across. The funding for that, we're putting $3 million into pediatric cancer research to jumpstart ramping up those studies. And then the proceeds, a lot of them off of this vape tax, are going to go to continue to fund pediatric cancer research in the state of Iowa. My own daughter is a childhood cancer survivor. She was treated 3 times, came out of remission 3 times, was first diagnosed at the age of 3. At the age of 11, it was determined that the protocols just weren't going to work for her for some reason. Had to have a bone marrow transplant. But the bone marrow transplant they were recommending wasn't readily available or recommended to be undergoing in the state of Iowa. And the University of Iowa Clinics is an outstanding cancer research facility. But the doctors in Des Moines at the time recommended that we go out of state to have that bone marrow transplant, because in Minnesota at the university, they had perfected and actually started the research on the type of transplant that she was going to need. So we spent a considerable amount of time up in the University of Minnesota. So having experienced that, she's now a nurse, 39 years old, giving back to the profession that helped save her life, which is heartwarming. But I don't ever want to see another family have to go through that. And to be in clinics where you become friends with these families, that their children are going through this, and then they lose a child, it's pretty tough. So.
None of us can imagine unless we've been through it. We cannot imagine and don't ever want to.
Yep.
All right.
So I was happy to champion that.
I will say, I just did a quick search. Vaping, I'd heard this before. Vaping negatively affects the quality of eggs, sperm, and even embryo implementation. So for those of you out there thinking vaping is safer than smoking, it can impact negatively your ability with infertility to have healthy babies later. So I just wanted to put that in there to everybody, because I know most people don't think about that aspect as well. So I just did the quick search, and that's what came up. All right.
And
So I know-
and some of the other chemicals and agents that are mixed in that to create the vapor, they're every bit as harmful on your lungs as smoking is. It's just in a different manner. So, I mean, just on the very surface of the act of vaping is not any more healthy than smoking.
Right.
Unfortunately, it's just unhealthy in a different way.
It's just accepted. That's the difference. Yep. It's just accepted. And I just put an ad on my Facebook page not too long ago. I'll put it on the Tamara Scott Show Facebook page of nurses standing smoking. It was kind of a cigarette commercial for smoking. Santa Claus used to advertise for smoking. It's just science and what's accepted in culture seem to change over the years. So again, Lynn, to us, to me, it's biblical. What good things that God has for us and things that we should be careful about putting in our bodies. So, all right. So I know we wanted to talk about data, AI data centers. I don't know how much time you have, and I don't want to keep you. How about this? Will you come back another time and we'll kind of really dive into the data center issue?
Oh, I would love to, because some of the research that I've found is eye-opening. I mean, I always knew they were problematic, but the more you learn, the more problematic they become.
As
and I don't know that the general public understands. All they understand is the cell line from the data centers themselves. But when you learn a little beyond that, this isn't tinfoil hat stuff.
Right.
This is true, backed up by fact and data. And I would love to go into deeper detail with you on that.
Okay. You look at your calendar. I'll look at my calendar. I actually have tomorrow open, and I actually have, I think, a couple days next week. But if nothing else, when I get back from the RNC, we'll tackle this. We'll bring you on, because there are constitutional issues here.
I would like to end it with one thing. We got governor's emergency powers addressed.
You did
this year. We did. It didn't capture everything that we needed to capture, but we are reining those in. That's been a battle ever since COVID to try to get that across the line, and we got it accomplished this year. So to anyone who was concerned about that, we did get some good action on that. Like I said, it didn't go as far as what maybe we all needed it to go, but we got something across the line this year. I think that's a great move.
It restrained what the government could do, or governor could do it, or restrained the length of time. What did it? Both?
It restrains what the governor can do.
Okay, good.
So
good.
No longer shutting down churches or
and businesses,
telling you what you can do in your own home,
and
or
businesses.
shutting down businesses. I mean, way overstepping our constitutional rights that are given to us by God.
Absolutely.
Some of the vaccine issue, I'm not sure that we got it right on all the areas in Iowa code that needed to be addressed, but at least it's being addressed. So maybe we can tweak those up moving forward.
It's a start, and I do hope. I did hear concerns that the bureaucratic wing on elected bureaucrats have always been a problem, that they could still somehow force a vaccination or order vaccinations. We've got to get control of that. And it is a concern for me having a gubernatorial candidate who is out of the bureaucratic wing and has already said unauthoritarian or overly authoritarian comments in some of his speeches. So that is certainly a concern for me, that we have got to get that one tackled ASAP.
Yep.
So,
well, thank you, Tamara. I appreciate the invitation. Oh, it's always a pleasure.
Thanks for joining me, Senator. We're honored and we're thrilled to have you in our legislature, and I'll see you shortly with the Vice President. Thanks for all you do. Blessings and safe travels. We'll be right back. Brandon House, the founder of WVW TV, is going to join us. We have a moment of his time. Stay tuned.
Do you like drinking toxins that could cause cancer, inflammation, and all kinds of other autoimmune diseases? Of course you don't. Well, much of our water in America is full of toxins. That's a proven fact. WorldviewWater.net. WorldviewWater.net is your solution so that you can drink good, clean water. In fact, I give it to all my 3 fur babies, all my 3 dogs. I have one under my kitchen sink, one of these filters, as well as on my shower. WorldviewWater.net.
This is our new NutraSwish, Numi NutraSwish. You can find more information at Numi, neumi.com/TTSS. neumi.com/TTSS, one of the products we offer because you all have different preferences and respond differently to different items. So this is our lavender. It's for ladies anywhere along your journey. No hormones in it, but if you're taking a supplement, hormonal supplement, you might want to check with your doctor. The blue is for anyone over the age of 18. It has the glutathione, which is a antioxidant, helps with over 400 cellular functions, and it helps detox heavy metals, forever chemicals, graphene oxide, one of those terms we learned after 2020, and it helps detox glyphosate. The good glutathione helps detox glyphosate. Glyphosate is found in ag chemicals or lawn chemicals, and some are very concerned about possible links to cancers, HPVs, and diabetes. But the blue bottle, the glutathione, helps detox heavy metals, forever chemicals, graphene oxide, and glyphosate. Then there's the mango-colored bottle you see on your screen. Numi Neuro helps with your mind, your memory, and your focus. Now, again, after 2020, we heard something about brain fog, a term we'd not heard before. Whether it's from a virus or a vaccine, many have found relief, a little help, with Numi Neuro, the mango-colored bottle. When used with the blue bottle, it is so positive that the American Brain Council wrote about it, and it looked like an endorsement. Though we're told they don't write endorsements, it was simply a positive review of what they saw. You can find more information at Numi, neumi.com/TTSS, neumi.com/TTSS for the Tamara Scott Show. Why? Because we want you feeling your best. And when you use that TTSS link, you help us be our best.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's the Tamara Scott Show. My thanks to Senator Lynn Evans for joining us for the first part of our show. My thanks to Brannon House, founder of WVWTV.com, Worldview Weekend TV, but WVWTV.com, I should have quit while I was ahead, is joining us. He's the founder and a friend. Brannon, thank you for joining us today.
Glad to be with you. Thank you, Tamara.
All right, so I was talking to someone else this morning, and they're talking along, and I'm like, oh, this person and I have a lot in common. You know, I have my tinfoil tiara, right? I would never wear a tinfoil hat, but I do have tinfoil tiara that some of our friends, some of our viewers sent me, which is actually quite lovely. And so I do put that on from time to time when we talk about things. My problem is, Brannon, that the conspiracies keep coming true. And so I have to keep finding new conspiracies, but that seems to be no problem. I keep finding them very quickly. So we were talking, and she said, Tamara, I'm telling you, she called herself a prepper. And I said, I wish I were absolutely a prepper, but I don't know if I'm disciplined enough to be a prepper. She started naming off events that she thinks are going to happen in the next 6 months. So I thought I better bring you on. She's concerned about the Strait of Hormuz if we don't get it open. She's concerned, and I think you mentioned this, Russia, Iran, and was it China?
China and North Korea.
So I try not to panic our viewers, right? God's in control. God will plan a path. Whether it's parting the Red Sea, when we're obedient, he will have a path for us. But there are things we should be doing to be ready. Take us through some of it.
Well, the Strait of Hormuz is obviously a concern with energy prices, fertilizer, things getting through that need to get through, push of inflation. But that's one of about, I don't know, we should probably make a list at this point, maybe 30 things that we have to be worried about. I mean, we just now have our global domestic product, our GDP and debt equal, okay? That's 100% the same now. We're at a tipping point. We are listening to economists that are all talking about the death of the dollar. It will happen. We are at the end of this debt-based system, and we're going to go to something new. And that's what I think it's called the Clarion Act and what is it, Logan, the Genesis Act or whatever it's called, these different bills for crypto and stable coins. This is all laying the foundation. They know the dollar's days are numbered. You have BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and all these other countries pushing for eliminating the dollar, a new world reserve currency. So that's one of many things. And then you add in China, North Korea, Iran, Russia, all working together. Clearly, we are fighting a war with China through Iran. China and Russia are helping them. There's no doubt about that. And yet we know that we have all of these CCP agents, at least 100,000, according to Gordon Chang and other experts, that have gotten into the U.S. since Biden and through Biden. And then we add the fact that we just had discovered, after they were stolen, commercial sprayers for spraying pesticides for crops. Now, these things are about the size of an SUV, and they can spray lots and lots of acres in a matter of minutes. And can you imagine if someone got a hold of those and used those to spray biological chemicals? And so they were found, thankfully, but who stole them? Why did they leave them? Did they fear getting caught? Were they studying them? Did they just need a bunch of pictures of them? I don't know. So they could duplicate it? I have no idea.
Or have they already used them and we just don't know it yet?
Well, that's very interesting you said that, because some of these things can take several days to weeks to show up in the population. So we don't know. But we could keep going down this list, from EMP to cyber hacking the power grid, all of these things that are of great concern. And yet our government is so disorganized. And not only is it disorganized in many regards, we have a civil war raging inside our government. We have people that are open Marxist.
Yes.
We have people that are cheering the death of our president. They want him to be eliminated. And they're in powerful positions in state, local, state, and federal governments. We have judges. And I'm reading of one today, reportedly apologizing to the accused attempted assassin at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, apologizing to him today. We have another judge that I read about today that is committed to Islam. We are in such a bad shape internally. Do you really think these people could handle a crisis? I remember talking to Dr. Peter Vincent Price, CIA analyst, and I think he probably even said it on the air here from this desk. He was warning about events like 9/11. One of our broadcast partners, Hadia Miramati, was warning about a 9/11 type event with her team inside the government. She was inside the government warning. She says they thought she was crazy, and they kind of basically pushed them off to a room. Like, you guys just sit in there and be quiet. And then when 9/11 happened, they brought them back out. Like, well, how did you guys know this? And yet there were people saying this. And Peter Price said, I promise you, if I briefed some of these high-ranking government officials on the morning of 9/11 and told them the possibility that this can happen, they would have given me all the reasons why it couldn't happen. And then within a few hours, it happened. So you're telling me that you want to trust these people, some of them who are rooting for this, chaos, division, civil war, World War III, to help you? No. So I think people better turn into preppers. And the beautiful thing is, it's not hard. Now, you can get it from us or you can get it from someone else. But if you go to worldviewstore.com, worldviewstore.com, you can order up all kinds of freeze-dried food. And this is real food that's just been freeze-dried. You just add water, boiling water, heat it, boil water, dump it in there, and you got a meal. We have put it in front of people. They have eaten it. They didn't even know what it was they were eating. They didn't know it was freeze-dried until after they ate it, and we're asking for seconds. And we're like, you realize this is freeze-dried food? They had no idea. I ate it on many camping trips in high school and in the Boundary Waters. We loved it. We didn't have any complaints. But I'll tell you, I've got 2 or 3 years worth. Because I not only need enough for my family, but I want to have enough to barter with. I want to have enough to help the families in my cul-de-sac. Because I don't need them beating down my door.
Right.
What I do need is for them to work with me together and I have a doctor that lives across the street from me, so he can provide services. I have a ER doctor at the mouth of my cove. He's done stitches for us before. He stitched up one of Roger Stone's bodyguards for us one day when they got in a car crash and he had a cut above his eye. So I want to be able to barter if I need services. So I have enough for my family, for the guys that work for us, to provide a little bit for my neighbors, and then to barter with. And all you got to do is order it. I mean, we got medical kits. We have gas masks. It's all there. All you got to do is order it and then throw it in a closet.
Hold on the food. When you say you have enough for all of those folks for 2 to 3 years, is that what you said?
No, I have 2 or 3 years worth of food, enough for my family for probably 2 years, and then a year's worth to use for others and barter with.
But how much storage space does that take up? If someone's saying, where would I put it?
Yeah, it's not much. You'll be shocked because a 3-month, how many buckets is a 3-month, guys? Is it 6 buckets is a 3-month? It's like 6 buckets. About, yay tall.
And people put this in their basement? Can they put it in a storage shed? Does that have to be temperature controlled?
Well, you should put it in a stabilized temperature, not a storage shed where it can get really, really cold or really, really hot. But you could put it under your stairs. If you have a little closet under your stairs, you could put it there. You could put it in a bedroom closet. I mean, you'll be shocked at how little space this takes. And in some cases, you're talking about a few years worth of food, and you could fit it all in a closet.
Right. And there are other things you can do to help along with this as well. But if the EMP happens, which I worked with Dr. Peter Fry on this, and if the EMP happens, then everything in your freezer is probably not going to survive. So you have to have other ways to do it. Some are learning to can. I have a daughter who cans meat, and she's such a huge blessing to our family. But there are other things you can do to supplement this. But this food is one of your ways. All right. So tell us what else people need to be thinking about, and tell us how to order it from you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. A lot of it's at worldviewstore.com. But you need to have antibiotics. And particularly now with what's going on with China, since we get a lot of our pharmaceuticals from them, you need to have your own kits of antibiotics. I got pneumonia 2 years ago, this coming November, at a temperature of 103. My wife just walked down the hall. I didn't feel good enough to go to the doctor. I mean, I couldn't get my shoes off. I crashed on the bed. She had to take my shoes off. I was so weak. I'd been on the air for the election that night, and I pushed through. I got off the air, and I was so sick. She took my temperature. It was 103. She just walked. There's no way I was going to urgent care at that time of night, much less what I felt like it. My word, it was horrible. She walked down the hall. She got out the medical kit, the antibiotics. She read what I needed based on pneumonia, and I took it. Within 24 hours, I was on my way back. And you can get that at worldviewhealthcare.com, worldviewhealthcare.com. And that's through Dr. Peter McCullough. And you can order up your wellness kits. It's a little blue kit. It's got all kinds of antibiotics and other stuff in there. You should have this stuff on hand anyway, turning your closet into your own wellness clinic or your own urgent care. But if there's an interruption in services or distribution, China's going to use that, right? And so I just say be prepared. Worst case scenario is the best case scenario is you never use it. Okay. Right. The worst case scenario that's acceptable is you buy it and you never need it, and you're like, well, did I waste the money? Well, a lot of it you could actually donate. If you get down, the food's got 25-year shelf life. But if you get down to where it's a couple years in the freeze-dried expiration date, donate it to the Goodwill and take your tax write-off. But you never buy it and hope and pray you never need it. Right. But if you need it and you don't have it, there was a lady who was in those floods in North Carolina. Remember the floods 2 years ago in North Carolina? And she sent an email, we read it on the air, and she said, we sat in the dark for 2 or 3 nights, the dark and the cold. And she said, and I remember you saying, one day you guys are going to be sitting in the dark and asking, why did I not listen? And she said, I had some preparations, but not enough. But she said, every night I was sitting in the dark and cold thinking, he told me one day I could very likely be in this position, and I didn't prepare enough. Most people think they're prepared, but they're not prepared enough. But it's better to do something than nothing. But you need to go through our contents at worldviewstore.com. You'll see everything's there. We've made it very simple. We put that page up in 2016 because people were asking for it. That's why we did it, because people wanted it. And we thought, well, this is a great way to also fund our network to push out free programming.
Well, so as well, I mean, you do talk about a lot of the alerts, a lot of the concerns, and it's not just to panic people or not just for the clicks, but I tell people you have to know what you're facing. So you know how to pray, you know how to prepare. And so by doing this, you're not doing this to scare people. You're doing this to give them confidence and peace of mind for their family should something occur.
That's right. If you prepare, you will see your anxiety greatly decrease. Because partly of what the anxiety is that, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I don't know what to do. What am I going to do? Well, if you go and you work out a reasonable plan and you have preparations, you'll see that concern or anxiety greatly decrease because you're like, well, I have a plan. Can I prepare for everything? No, but I can certainly prepare for a lot. Obviously, as Christians, we're not to have fear and anxiety, but the Bible does say that a wise man, a prudent man sees danger and takes refuge, and the fool ignores it. We see the storing up in the years of plenty for the year of famine. These are biblical principles, right? So put them into place and trust the Lord. But don't say, well, I'm just going to trust the Lord and do nothing. The Lord expects us to be responsible. Otherwise, why do you get out of bed every day to go to a job to make income? I'll just depend on the Lord to bring my bills to me to be paid. No, the Bible says, put your hand to a plow, gain wealth over the course of time, to be a blessing to others, provide for one's family, and further the gospel. So we have a moral agency and a free will, and people need to act on that free will to go and prepare, and then trust in God's providential purpose. And you may say, you know what? That show, I look back now, that show that Tamara did that day, God providentially had me watch it because I went and got prepared, and now look at this. I'm ready. I'm so glad I saw that program. So maybe God providentially is giving the church and Christians in America the opportunity to prepare so that we can be salt and light. We can make a difference when others are panicking. You know, the Mormons believe in this.
Absolutely.
And one reason, of course, they do it is not only to provide for their family and keep their heritage and lineage going, but they want to also be leaders in the community at the time. Well, it's going to be really hard to be leaders in your community when you're just trying to make it day to day. So prepare. And if nothing else, prepare for your own family. He who does not provide for his family, spiritually and physically, is worse than an unbeliever. So just prepare and then pray.
And so I'm so glad you brought up the Mormons, and they do it to be a leader. You know, I have friends who are Mormons, and we were just talking because they had food for, what was it, Y2K, and that only lasted so long, right? 2025, that was now coming to its shelf life. But as well, if you don't do this, your family will be enslaved. Your family will be the ones who have no control. You'll have no control over those you love. So as you say, one, to be a leader, but also just to help those you love and those around you. And I appreciate, Brandon, just the ability to talk about this. We're not hyped. We're not screaming. We're not panicking. We're not, you know, these commercials that we see. We're just saying, pray about it, weigh it out, pray it out, see what God would have you do, can do. And it may be a savings for some of you that you can do it a month at a time, or you can do it a little bit at a time. But I do think, Brandon, you're absolutely correct. The peace of mind, the anxiety the peace of mind will override and come in where there's been anxiety in the past. Thank you for what you do.
Let me say one thing, Tamara. What if there's a crisis and the government says, we will provide you with, you know, these freeze-dried food meals like we give the military. Here's enough for 2 weeks for your family. But every one of you is going to have to get X shot. Are you prepared to take a bioweapon shot for food? Well, a lot of people will do it. Or are you going to be one of the ones that say, the government is not going to use this crisis to manipulate me into doing something against my will, because I've not given them that kind of power. Take away the power of the tyrants by being self-sufficient. Trust in the King and the Lord, not these tyrants.
And if it gives you a pathway, consider taking it. And this is one of those pathways to providing for your family when the unsteady times hit. Brandon, thanks for taking time
Tamara.
out today.
You bet.
To everybody else out there, we thank you for taking time out to join us as well, as we help you live God's word in today's world when the headlines hit home. And we also tell you, live boldly, love better, laugh bigger, be encouraged, but never be complacent.